right, good morning, everybody. What a beautiful day in November. Hard to believe. So just appreciate that you've come to our 16th annual gathering. This is normally the chain of giving where we create a human chain inside. But given that we are still under restrictions, we are outside today, but we welcome you and hope that we will indeed get back to the human chain in a big celebration next year. So this is when we kick off the holiday season with our partners and friends. And we're thrilled to have Mayor Michelle Wu, who will be with us in a moment. She's on her way. And I will note this later that we want to thank her administration in this new legacy, and I'll speak to her when she arrives. But we also want to welcome Governor Charlie Baker. He's been a great friend to the Greater Boston Food Bank. Your administration and your team have really been amazing relative to all the time under your administration, but most importantly, the last 22 months. We've worked closely with all of them, I think, in that way, but appreciate it so much. So I'd also like to welcome our hunger-free holiday meal campaign sponsors, Stop and Shop and Biogen. You'll hear from them in a few minutes. So with their generosity and the generosity of the state legislature and the governor's office, when we put all that food together, et cetera, we'll be able to do over 23 million meals this holiday season. That includes turkey, poultry, all types of poultry, as well as gift cards. And this will go across eastern Massachusetts over the entire holiday season. This week actually is Hunger and Homeless Awareness Week, and it's very fitting, given that we stand here today where we all know about what the public health and public safety issues have been occurring around Mass and Cass relative to housing and homelessness. So while we know there is still very much to navigate and a lot of work ahead, we're very pleased to also share with you that the Boston City Council voted yesterday to pass a business improvement district here for the Newmarket area. This is a very exciting piece of news. It's been in the works for several years, and it'll bring millions of dollars of resources into this Newmarket area and this section of the city. And we know that many of these efforts are solutions in their own way. One solution here, one solution there. But it's not lost on me that we have to work together. City government, state government, and all of our partners that are committed in the areas of housing, addiction, mental health, healthcare, all of our advocates, along with the businesses here in Newmarket, to make sure we address the issues that we've been facing for several months and several years. Food on the table and a roof over one's head are two of the most basic human rights, and the Greater Boston Food Bank is very committed to those rights. Over 40 years ago, the Greater Boston Food Bank started right here in Boston, and we remain here today. We have 600 partners located in 190 cities and towns across eastern Massachusetts. So if we stop to think about it, there have been 40 Thanksgivings, 40 holiday seasons, hundreds of employees, thousands of public and private partners, millions of volunteers, hundreds of millions of clients served, and over millions and millions of meals provided over the course of these 4 decades. Now, this milestone has been a reminder that hunger has been a silent epidemic for too long. Yet we all know the pandemic exacerbated and highlighted food insecurity. I know for me, unlike anything I have seen in my entire career as a food banker. Last year, when our lives were turned upside down at the beginning of the pandemic, hunger became even more pervasive, touching more people than ever before. Our food pantries, in only a few short months, began serving twice the number of people in need. And even with the improving economy, that number has not significantly diminished. We still are serving around 600,000 people each and every month. In 2021, we distributed enough food for nearly 97 million healthy meals, by far the most in our 40-year history, and over 70% more than we did in 2019, only 2 years ago. That's a significant increase. It was nearly 60% of the food we distributed in 2021 that was perishable and healthy and full of protein. That's the center of the plate. Proteins, produce, and dairy. We're very proud of our commitment to nutrition excellence. And our SNAP team, let's not forget about them, a very important federal program that we have here in the state. We saw a 30% increase in application assistance. That's a good thing. We want people to be able to go to the grocery store and get the food they need. So this year we are seeing supply chain disruptions and rising food costs between 10 and 20%. Turkeys are up 10%, sweet potatoes up 20%. It's on record that this Thanksgiving will probably be the most expensive in the history that we know. While much of life is attempting to return to this preconceived normal, there are still many struggles ahead for so many of our hurting neighbors. We must remain vigilant as this holiday season is ahead of us. So gratefully, the Greater Boston Food Bank wants to thank our government and industry supporters. These are amazing partnerships. We are truly a private-public partnership in a way that's quite significant. We have great relationships with the food industry and deep relationships with our corporations. Much of our nutritious food comes from local farmers right here in Massachusetts. And over the last 2 years, I want to extend our deepest thanks to you, Governor Baker, to your team, and to the legislature. We needed resources. You provided resources through various appropriations. You helped us, and now we have MEFAP, which is known as our Massachusetts Emergency Food Assistance Program, has increased to $30 million. That's $30 million that purchases food in our state for millions and millions of meals in all the food banks across the Commonwealth. We rely on our food industry for their help, and that comes very true around Thanksgiving when we ask them to step forward once again and help us. So I want to thank the donors for this season. Stop and Shop, Amazon Whole Foods, Big Y, BJ's Wholesale Club, CNS Wholesale Grocers, Decca's Cranberry Products, Goldberg Family Foundation, Hannaford Brothers, Price Right, Roach Brothers, Shaw's Supermarket, Star Market, Table Talk Pies, Walmart. Show me another place that industry competitors come together and say this is important for all of us to be a part of. That's what's happening right here. Ending hunger takes all of us, and we appreciate all those who have stepped forward to help us, and they're here today. As we think about those 40 years, we think of our essential workforce that stepped forward over 20 months ago. They never sort of lost a beat. Our warehouse workers and our truck drivers. When our doors, the thing that I want to make sure you know, our doors never closed. They never, ever closed. There were sacrifices around vacation time and seeing families. All of these individuals said, we will put our health forward in order to protect others. And we're very grateful to all of them over this last few years. And with these safety protocols, we want to make sure today that we call out some of the greatest heroes that we know, and that's some of our GBFB day in and day out team members. So today, I'd like to invite a few of our team members to speak. So allow me to introduce three. Kelly Seju, who manages volunteers and has worked in our warehouse for 25 years. Ed O'Brien, who has worked in our freezer for over 2 years. And to the employee with the longest employment history at GBFB, Juan Encarnacion, a man who just celebrated his 30th anniversary with Greater Boston Food Bank last week. So they're going to speak and share a little bit, but I do want to note that the governor already said I'd like one of those jackets. You can only get that jacket if you are here 25 years. That's it's priceless, Governor. So how many terms? 25? 20, that's a lot. Okay. So I'm going to now ask Kelly, Ed, and Juan to speak. So Kelly, you're first.
Ask no man.
So you can take it off.
Hi, I'm Kelly, and those who volunteered sometimes over the last 25 years may recognize me. I take pride in supporting my team and thousands of volunteers that come to sort food. When COVID hit, the warehouse needed more help. So I step up and help out wherever I can. That's what we all do. Whatever we can to support the mission. So thank you.
Good morning. My name's Everett O'Brien. I'm a selector in the freezer, and the number one item this year is turkeys. They arrived in pallets of 40 cases, and they weigh over 50 pounds. Many of us work in the warehouse and driving the trucks are here by 4 a.m. and committed to getting the food out year after year. Those who need it. I've been here for 2 years. It's a great team to be part of, especially around Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me?
We don't want to. Okay.
My name is Born Incarnation, and I've been here for the last 30 years. It's a great place to work for. I enjoy every minute, and I want to keep working. I want to help others, those that are hungry. And on behalf of Catherine, my supervisor, Matt McGuire, and the warehouse team, I do congratulate every one of them for helping me throughout the years. So for 30 years, you guys should know that there's been a lot of miles in there. And I drive a tractor trailer and a straight job. Straight job holds 10 to 12 pallets. Trailer is 22 pallets. So if you can imagine, 22 pallets almost every day, Monday to Friday. That's a lot of people that we're feeding. And I do want to thank the donors and the partners. Governor Baker and Michelle Wu for everything that you have done. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
As you can see, we have a great team. We have nearly 150 team members, and you're seeing 3 of our finest that are representative of all of them. And again, they were here every day, and they continue to be here every day, and we're grateful for them, because without them, it doesn't happen. I always say to them, nobody comes to see my office. They come to see you, and they come to see the work that you do. So thank you so much. It's my pleasure now to ask Karen Mitchell, who's the Senior Vice President of Marketing at Stop & Shop, to come up. Stop & Shop and its parent company, Ahold Delhaize, have been GBFB's longest-standing retail food and fund donor and partner, and this year's lead Hunger-Free Holiday campaign sponsor. Karen?
Thank you, Catherine. On behalf of Stop & Shop, we're very proud to be here today as we kick off the 11th annual Hunger-Free Holidays campaign. As the presenting sponsor of this year's campaign, Stop & Shop will be offering a matching donation of up to $350,000 for all gifts made to help the campaign in its goal to reach $1 million for those facing food insecurity. We're also proud to provide the food bank with 5,000 turkeys, as we do every year, to help our neighbors here in Massachusetts enjoy a Thanksgiving meal. Stop & Shop is the largest donor to the Greater Boston Food Bank, both in terms of food and cash donations. And though we work together 365 days a year, it's so important for us to come together during this special time of year. We want to be able to provide as many people as possible who are struggling to put food on their table with the opportunity to enjoy a meal with their friends and family during this holiday season. So thank you, Catherine, for your continued efforts, and we hope this year's Hunger Free campaign is a great success.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Karen. We have had a long, long history. And now it's my privilege to introduce Kate Dawson, Chair of the Biogen Foundation. Biogen was our first major donor in the onset of the pandemic, and I remember that call. Thank you. And now they're supporting our Hunger-Free Holiday campaign. So Karen, come on.
So thank you, Catherine, for allowing us to be here in this great event, which is so important to the community. Good morning, everyone. It's impressive to hear the work that goes in every day, and especially during this special time of year. I don't need to go back to you the numbers of the families that the Greater Boston Food Bank helps and supports each year. And Catherine's already spoken to the increased need that happened with COVID. And we were very proud to take on that conversation with her and actually step in and lean in and help support in a more impressive fashion than we could before. Thank you to Juan and Ed and Kelly for all the work that you do. It's so important, and it makes a difference in the lives of many people. Thank you to Catherine and the rest of your colleagues for what you do to ensure food gets into the hands of those that need it. We are so humbled to see the complex, collated effort that goes into distributing food, nutritious food, to families. And while big holiday events are what bring us here together today, we know that this is something that needs to be tackled every day. The Biogen Foundation has happily done our part to support the work of helping to ensure that Boston area families don't go hungry. For nearly 30 years, since 1993, the foundation has been working alongside outstanding nonprofits with a shared vision of ending hunger. The COVID-19 pandemic, of course, made this worse. It increased the need. It made supplying the food more difficult and distributing it. We know, as Catherine has already spoken to, that they're serving many more people. And the strain continues. And this is why we double down on our commitment to the food bank and to the communities that we work and serve. And we think this is more important than ever. So promoting human health is core to who we are at Biogen and what we do. And addressing food insecurity is one of the many ways we advance our purpose to help communities thrive. As a physician, I understand that nutritious food is really instrumental to health and to learning. And it's a building block that we must support. As chair of the Biogen Foundation, I am privileged to work with people who are continually caring deeply, part of our core philosophy. It is through our daily work and our daily interactions with our community that I'm reminded that we are not only science pioneers, but we are also people who care deeply about human health and making a difference in the communities where we work. I personally could not be more honored to be here today at the start of the giving season, to work side by side with all of you all year round to promote nutrition, health, and equity. We appreciate the opportunity for Biogen and the Biogen Foundation to be part of the difference that the Greater Boston Food Bank is making every day. Thank you.
Thank you, Kate. We do now have Mayor Michelle Wu. So glad you could join us, and huge congratulations on being able to say Mayor Michelle Wu. So this is your first time visiting the food bank, I think, since you were elected, and we are honored given the schedule that you have and how many huge, enormous activities are before you. We have a long-standing relationship with the Mayor's Office of Food Access, and we are very much looking forward to working with you, Mayor. Please.
Good morning, everyone. I want to just echo the thanks to this incredible organization, all of the workers and the volunteers and the community members who come together to make this tremendous amount of work during the holiday season possible, but also the work every single day that goes largely unnoticed and that is so fundamental to the families that you serve. I want to thank Catherine in particular, who has been a friend, a mentor to so many women in leadership positions across the city, and someone who I drew on very early on in the pandemic to talk about, to do one of the very first Zoom live stream events, just to share information with the community about how various community institutions and partners were coming together in our city at a time of crisis. And so we continue to lift up your example and all that you have been doing long before the pandemic and certainly throughout. Food access, nutrition, health, and the economic opportunities that represents for our residents is going to be critical to the agenda for the city of Boston. We have many folks here from the city's team, but I want to lift up Catalina from our Food Access Office and thank you for your work. We've been partnering on ensuring fresh foods get to our Boston Public School students in every walk of life, every background, every income level. We are all connected to our food systems, and when those systems fail and people fall through the cracks, we are all impacted. So I'm very grateful that the food bank has already been leading the way on ensuring that this food is not just healthy, fresh, and nutritious, but culturally responsive to our communities and really reflects every bit of how food is central to our health and our identity and our communities as well. So I'm very honored to participate today. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Mayor Wu. I'd now like to introduce our governor, Charlie Baker. And before I invite the governor again to come up, I just want to again thank you for the continued and steadfast support. And we couldn't have done it without your help. And Massachusetts was a leader. We had 17% unemployment in those first few months of the pandemic. It was a major crisis. And I know I was on several phone calls with you at different hours of the day and night with mayors and town managers, and you were always there to help. And I know it wasn't easy. And so a lot of gratitude for your leadership. Thank you so much. Please welcome our governor.
Well, thank you, Catherine, and thank you to Stop and Shop and to Biogen and to all the other organizations that are part of this holiday effort. And thanks to the guys in the jackets and the gals in the jackets for all the work that you do. And Catherine, let me just say this. There's one issue associated with what we do here in the Commonwealth when it comes to providing nutritious meals for people, and that's actually the trucks, right? Getting it to wherever that pivot point is, to all the places it needs to go. But one of the things that happened at the beginning of the pandemic was all of the various distribution sites that people normally went from when they left here shut down. Kids weren't in school. The food pantries were barely open, if they were open at all, because a lot of them operate with volunteers. Those volunteers were afraid to go to those sites that they had been going to for years. And this entire distribution system had to reimagine itself and pivot in a way that could actually meet people where they were. And I think in many ways it was a spectacular example of the creativity, commitment, imagination, and fortuitousness that this food delivery community brings to the work they do. I mean, I could almost say they never missed a beat, but obviously a lot of those phone calls proved that we did. But the bottom line is we didn't miss a beat for long. And in a very short period of time, people had completely reconfigured almost everything about their distribution system and the way they got food to the last mile, because you couldn't rely anymore on those intermediate stops at schools and food pantries in the various places where a lot of that distribution had happened previously. And that was a city effort, not just Boston, I mean like all municipalities, city effort, state effort, nonprofit effort. And it was really a big piece of why we put together the Food Insecurity Task Force, which eventually made a series of recommendations and put about $50 million into our food insecurity infrastructure to make it not just more resilient, but more able to pivot and to adjust to changing circumstances. And over the course of the pandemic, the federal government put enormous resources into this space, but those resources were only available to you if you actually knew how to access them, turn them into products, and then get that nutritious product to the people who needed it. And this Commonwealth of Mass, public organizations, private organizations, nonprofits, for-profits, did a magnificent job of delivering to the people of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts during an incredibly terrible and difficult time. And Catherine, you guys in many respects were the center of the wheel on this, and I can't say how much I appreciate everything you and your team did. It was magnificent. And since you've been in business for 40 years, and not 39 or 41, I really thought it was time they got us a citation from the governor's office congratulating them on their 40th anniversary and all the work that you've done for so many here in Greater Boston and throughout the region. And I also just want to say that, and Mayor Wu touched on this as well, while the holiday season is a great opportunity for all of us to work together and make sure that we deliver on behalf of those who don't have as much as others when it comes to food and the chance to celebrate. This organization and its partners are out there doing the work every single day on behalf of the people of Massachusetts, and they do it extraordinarily well, and we are all enormously grateful to be part of that team. Thank you.
Again, I wish that, as you can see, we're in the industrial zone of the city of Boston. Lots of things happen here all at the same time. We will have a photo opportunity afterwards, but as we all leave here today, I want to be able to thank the Governor, thank you, Mayor, thank you, Biogen, thank you, Stop and Shop. These are our true partners that you're seeing today, and there are so many more that are behind the scenes that make this go. And to Kelly and Ed and Juan, I want to thank you as well for your commitment and your service and for what you do every day. I really, really appreciate it. And you're showing us some turkeys, I think, here is what we're starting to see here. But, I encourage all of you to participate in Hunger-Free Holiday Campaign. Again, we're going to do 23 million meals to families across Eastern Massachusetts. And please go to gbfb.org holidays to learn more. We're grateful and we thank you, and we hope you all have a safe and healthy holiday. Thank you so much.